I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact focused on personal growth, my Knowledge Workbook series and Creative Healing course can help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about here's when my avoidant ex came back. Okay, so if you're in a situation where you're starting to look at things and understanding attachment theory better, and you're starting to realize that your ex is probably more of an avoidant attachment style, it can be really scary. There's a lot of people out there that say avoidance don't come back, avoidance won't chase you, avoidance won't regret the breakup. That simply is not true. It's just that they are likely to take longer than somebody who may be more secure or more of an anxious attachment style. But of course, there are exceptions to the rule, right? And that's why I say every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Because when you look at all the different factors to consider, it's no wonder why relationships are so confusing. Because a lot of the stuff that's out there is cookie cutter advice without taking into consideration that people attach differently and they love differently. Okay, so all of that is going to come into play when you're trying to understand dating and how to date. So we at the channel really try and teach people to act like adults, to be responsible, to be accountable, to really value and nurture their connections, make them playful and fun. But our attachment issues often get in the way of those things. And that's why we have so many breakups. We've got to do what we can to work on our own issues, and we have to act like an adult, okay? If you don't, you're going to live your life recklessly and carelessly, and you wind up choosing other people that are going to hurt you because you didn't do a good job vetting them and understanding them. Or you're going to wind up hurting other people because you haven't taken a look at yourself and how people deserve to be treated. So we want to look at both sides of that. We want to look at you. We want to look at your ex. We want to look at the relationship. And we understand that when you're anxious, you are just consumed by the breakup. I get it. I was consumed by my breakups. I was devastated by my breakups. The only reason I know these things so well is because of the pain that I went through in my breakups. And as a clinician, I started putting these pieces together with Margaret years ago, looking at how the trauma that I had in my childhood, and both my parents being married 3 times, and the divorce, how contemptuous it was, my mom's anxious attachment style, my dad's avoidant attachment style, my mom's anxiety, she was Italian. Italian moms tend to be very anxious. And so all of those things had a big impact on me. And likely these things happen to you. Maybe you're avoidant. Maybe you're anxious. Maybe you're secure. That would be great. But so few of us are truly secure, because until people start to act like adults and really work through their issues, they're going to make a mess of things. They're going to have defense mechanisms. They're going to look to run away. They're going to unconsciously look to sabotage things. They're going to be drawn to unhealthy people or continue the toxic things that happen in their childhood. But when we talk about it, we heal those things. Margaret was so huge on talking about it. And she always talked to me about the therapeutic process and how talking about it makes us feel better. So you guys are going to see that when we're doing coachings together, you're going to feel much better. Not only because you're going to talk to a professional who's done this for a long time, who's telling you what they see and how to navigate it so you have a plan, but just feeling understood by people that have been through these things. So I understand what it's like to desperately wonder and feel consumed with, is my avoidant ex coming back? Make sure you do your best to do the work every day. Focus on the growing and the healing. That is what's going to make you feel better, and that's really going to give you the best chance at turning it around with an ex. If an avoidant ex is someone that you want to be with, if you want to repair it with them, you're probably going to need a lot more patience and understanding than you've ever had before. Trust me, I have had those cringeworthy moments where you need to know the answer, that you can't leave it alone, that you can't help but nudge or push for things, and it just kills the attraction, okay? But when you truly get secure and confident, you won't do those things naturally. You'll be able to stop yourself, even if you are feeling anxious, and you're going to be a lot less likely to push an avoidant ex or an avoidant partner away. Now, whether or not you want to date an avoidant, that's totally up to you. But I'll tell you this, if you're looking for somebody secure, you better be secure, because they're not going to tolerate your anxious behaviors, okay? If you think you could go into a secure relationship and keep that person, they're going to see right through your insecurities. The way you're sitting here criticizing those avoidants, they're going to do it to you, and they're going to lose interest in you. So if you want somebody who is secure, you have to focus on being secure. Trust me, I've seen so many people think that they were secure, think that they were ready for a healthy relationship, and then it's like a massive tidal wave hits over them, and they can't believe it. They're broken up with by somebody that was or is secure. Okay, so I've got a good email coaching where somebody talks about the process of their breakup with their avoidant ex and what they went through. Because I know you're consumed. When are they going to come back? That's that anxiety in us. We can't turn that off. Okay, it's like an alarm system. And we have no way of turning it off until we feel connected with them again, or processing and eventually working through the breakup. So they said, hello, Coach Craig. First of all, I wanted to say that you and Coach Margaret are true legends. You are a pioneer in breakups, dating, and love, and what you have taught us has revolutionized dating for so many people. I also love Coach Victoria, who has truly impressed me in so many ways as well. Well, thank you for the kind words, and everything you're saying is absolutely true. But thank you, seriously. I am in the psychology field as well, and have been working in the field for almost 10 years. You and your channel have helped me both as a clinician and as a listener. And we love hearing that. I mean, honestly, we talk to a lot of therapists, psychologists, people in the field, and they love our work. And it's so nice to hear. It validates everything that we do here, to hear other people learning from us and what we share here. I even recommend you to my clients that are struggling with dating or understanding relationships. You know, it's always so surprising to me. I get a lot of people that say, my therapist recommended you guys to me. And I'm like, really? That's so cool to hear. That we're getting out to that many therapists, but we're at something like 70 million views. So I'm sure there are many people that are in the helping field that went through difficult breakups. But be careful. A lot of therapists have no training or expertise with breakups. We're not taught that stuff. This is our passion. So sometimes they give breakup advice that is similar to friends and family. So just be careful there. I'm in my mid-30s and I was dating a man for about 1.5 years. My avoidant ex and I had a really great relationship. Honestly, I thought he was my person. I had done a lot of work on myself, and including your creative healing course, and consider myself only slightly anxious. I was really shocked the way he shut down and was able to walk away from me when he told me that I treated him better than anyone had ever treated him. And I'll tell you, I hear that a lot. That you treated that person better than anyone ever has, a lot of times even their own family, and they still walk away and you're just like, how? Why? I know that feeling. I've heard it too. A few months before the breakup, my ex started to have some serious issues with a boss who was transferred over to his department. My ex was getting more and more frustrated by how things were going at work, and it didn't make it any easier that in some ways he had more seniority than this new boss. That would not be fun. Somebody that you have some more seniority than, and they're coming in there and making your life miserable. He started to get more and more agitated and irritable and would come home frustrated with how things were at work. I tried to be supportive and understanding, but I think it made him depressed. And he was struggling with the situational depression. You know, I see a lot of breakups caused by depression, and relationships do take a lot of energy. And when you're depressed, you don't have that energy. So I think there's a big correlation with breakups and depression. My ex started to say things like he wasn't good enough for me, that he thought I deserved better, that he didn't think he would be good enough to take care of me, even though I never felt that way at all. And regardless of the challenges he was facing at work, I always thought he would be a great provider. And when I say that, I mean more than just financially, but being an emotional support system for me. But our relationship began to really struggle. He was unhappy all the time, would isolate himself, drink more often, and generally depressed. I tried to connect with him and be there for him, but nothing seemed to work. He finally ended our relationship. I begged. I offered us to go to counseling. Nothing. He seemed emotionally drained. I found your channel shortly after, and fortunately had not done too much damage. I went into no contact. I struggled with not looking at his social media, so I made a deal with myself. Every day that I looked at his social media, I had to make sure to do 30 minutes of the creative healing course before and after I looked. Okay, I like that. You're like rewarding yourself. You're like, all right, I'm going to work really hard in the course, but then I'm going to look, but then afterwards I have to work really hard again to get myself centered again. And it just keeps you a little bit more accountable, right? Every time that you look, you hold yourself accountable. Honestly, it kept me in check. I did my best to do 30 minutes a day, but on the days that I looked, knowing my price was an additional 30 minutes. It actually helped me. It was like, okay, you want to do something bad by looking? Now you have to do something good to make up for it. LOL. He did reach out occasionally. I think they were indirect directs, mail, and a few small things that he said he needed that I had. But he hid his interest very well. I was working hard and no contact. Therapy, your podcast, the course, and slowly I started to feel better. Even though in my heart I knew I wanted it to be him. I felt like he was my person. And I would move on even if I didn't want to. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of us feel like that. Like sometimes we feel like we just have no choice. We have to move on even though we don't want to do it. Months went by. Good days and bad days. Skype calls with you helped. I tried to do them every 3 weeks. You were as good of a therapist and coach as I could have asked for. Well, thank you for that. And I will continue to talk with you as long as you will have me. LOL. You know, it's interesting. Sometimes people think that after they do one coaching with me, they're like, well, is it okay if I do another with you? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Some people want to do coaching with me every week. Some people want to do it, just a few times. Sometimes people do it bi-weekly or monthly. Everybody's different, but you can talk to us as much as you want, and we won't get upset if you do a coaching with me and then one with Victoria, or Victoria and then me. We're not upset about that at all. We've always been a team here. Margaret was part of that team for a long time, and so that was never an issue for the three of us. We talked about his social media. He did not post any other women. I honestly did not think it was about any other women, but one can never be sure. After about 5 months, I truly started to feel better. I was not as obsessed. I felt more at peace with life, with myself, with the mistakes I made in the relationship, and even started to wonder if I could date again. You and I talked about it, and I could feel my energy shift. I was not faking it. I truly felt like I was coming out of this breakup, feeling like me again. But this time, wiser, smarter, more patient, more conscious. And then it happened. He finally reached out. I was finally making peace with myself. I was finally making peace within myself. And just like you say, a disturbance in the force. LOL. I stayed calm. He texted asking if I would be interested in talking. I waited hours. I said sure and asked him what he had in mind. He said that weekend. LOL, I booked a Skype with you immediately. I get this a lot. And that's what we're here for. You know, your ex finally reaches out. Sometimes you guys need to do an emergency coaching. That's why I have it there. And you want to talk to me right away. Sometimes it's okay. You guys understand that people all around the world talk to us every single day. There's a huge demand for our time. Okay? And we've been doing this for a long time. So people always are trying to book with us and schedule with us. And we love it, you know, but we are always busy. But I bet at least once or twice a week, people hit me up right away and say, my ex finally reached out, a client that I've done coaching with before, and I know the situation. I'm like, all right, what's going on? All right. We discussed everything. I cannot believe how many of the things you predicted came true. Well, when you've been doing this as long as we have, it's not a surprise. He said he had been depressed. He was depressed for a few months. He had no energy, no joy. He felt nothing. He thought about me often and felt guilty. He knew he had hurt me and was beating himself up. A few months after the breakup, his friends forced him to start going out and hanging out. Go to bars with them, fishing, hobbies. He said he started to feel a little better, felt a little bit more alive. Work got better, but he thought about me more often. He said I was always in the back of his mind. You know what's crazy, guys? I just saw a comment not even an hour ago that somebody said my ex, I commented on your video just the other day that my ex, it was hopeless. My ex was never going to reach out. And I have to admit, she finally reached out after 101 days. Sorry, I don't remember the video that the comment was on. But we often think that our situation is hopeless, that our ex is not going to be the one that comes back, that they're not thinking about us, they've moved on, they're done and over, and they come back. Now, yes, avoidants often tend to take longer than anxious people because they shut down, they're in low power mode, they're trying to sweep it under the rug, they're trying to justify things. But over time, they start to really realize, wow, this person treated me better than anybody else. What am I doing? What's wrong with me? And they reach out. But they're scared, right? They've been rejected and hurt their whole lives in many of these cases. You don't wind up avoiding if life was good. So they're scared. And that's why I tell you, don't ignore your ex. Some people will tell you, ignore your ex. What are you, crazy? You got an avoidant ex who's terrified of reaching out and you want me to ignore them? Well, okay, you can wait for something significant, but they are probably going to feel rejected, and then you're going to regret it, thinking, I should have replied. Why didn't I reply? And they never reach out to you again because they think you hate them. There are many avoidants that just aren't aware of their feelings. They don't look at things deeply. They just try and brush things off, cut things off right away because it just feels like a lot of pain for them. So I don't want you guys to get breadcrumbed, okay? That's a different situation. I'm not telling you to tolerate being breadcrumbed, but if your ex has reached out after months and you ignore it, they may not reach out to you ever again because they're scared. So as long as they're not breadcrumbing you, I would say don't just ignore. He said he thought about the relationship, poured over our texts, pictures, remembered the good and the bad. He said he started to see patterns where he had pulled away and it caused arguments. Said things really hit him when he knew it was his fault. You see, the accountability within themselves starts to come because you haven't pressured. If you pressure, they're not going to be able to think about those things. All they're going to think about is, oh, they won't leave me alone. And they're just going to try and brush it off. If I came up when he was with his friends, he started defending me and blaming himself. Said I was patient with him and that he was the one that blew our relationship. He started missing me more and more. He was scared that I was angry or hated him. You see, this is what I'm talking about. He thought she hated him. But he said he thought about me more and more. Every day, in the morning, at night, constant reminders. I stayed quiet like you instructed, and he told me so much. He said that sometimes you have to lose something to realize how much it means to someone. And I think there's truth to that. People take each other for granted, and that's why scarcity impacts your value. So if you feel like someone is not treating you well, don't continue to give them the same amount of time. You start to take some more space for them and see if they start to miss your absence. But a lot of times we're hoping that spending more time with them because we're anxious will make them treat you better, but it just makes them take you for granted more. And you've heard me talk about music, right? It's the space in between the notes that create the beauty in the music, and love is like that. It's the space between those notes. I'm playing an invisible piano here. I used to play piano when I was a kid. That's the beauty there. Otherwise, if you just bang on all the keys at once, it's just noise. So space in relationships is a beautiful thing. It allows us to appreciate each other more when we come together. You know how they say absence makes the heart grow fonder? Well, there's some truth to that. And even in daily life, if we spend all day, every day with each other and not allow for space, we tend to get on each other's nerves and frustrated and annoyed. Okay. And he said that if I give him another chance, he would do better, listen better. He said he doesn't want to go through that pain again. And when he thought he truly lost me, which is crazy because we had been broken up for months, that is when he came back. And that is so true. This is what I'm telling you guys. Avoidants often disappear for months. And then they come back one day like the breakup just happened. You've been devastated for months, and one day they wake up with it. This is why breakups have been so confusing for years. Right? Before our channel, there was nobody talking about attachment theory and breakups. Margaret and I figured this stuff out, and we're putting these things together. And as we started talking about it more and more, and I was coaching longer and longer before she was able to come on board, we could see the patterns. We would talk every week, sometimes a few times a week, just depending on our schedule. And we would see these things. And it was becoming more and more clear that the way we bond and attach is also going to impact the way they come back and how you turn a breakup around. But before that, there was nobody talking about that. It was all 30 days of no contact, which was insane, right? I mean, it's so ridiculous. Or handwritten letters. Okay, send a handwritten letter to an avoidant. Good luck. Or just go to their house and keep trying to talk to them. There's still people talking about these crazy things. You wind up having them say to you, they're going to call the police on you. I'm not even kidding. That's the last thing you want. You're trying to fix it because you love them, not getting a restraining order. It's awful. I mean, I've seen so many people go through that. I mean, I've seen people trying to break into homes and stalking and getting caught stalking. Love makes us do crazy things, but that's our attachment issues, okay? I try not to judge because I know what it's like to feel those things and to live that. It's so awful. But you're an adult and you got to work through those things. It's not fair, but unfortunately that's the way it is. As of now, I'm taking things very, very slow with him. He's showing progress. I'm a lot more confident, and we will take our time. Either way, I know I will be in a much better place than ever before. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was a great success story. Regardless of what happens with the ex, he's taking some accountability. They're taking it slow. She's done a lot of work on herself. So let's see where it goes. It's still too early to say, but things are looking good for both of them. And with all the knowledge, information that she learned and the changes she made by doing the course every day, she's going to change the dynamic of this relationship, even if he doesn't do much growth. That's the thing about what we teach. When we educate you and you truly do that work, even if your partner doesn't do the work, you'll be able to make so many significant changes within yourself and within the behaviors that you do that the relationship will naturally change and grow anyway. Now, obviously, I want them to do the work too, but many of you feel like, I want to be with this person even if I have to have the lion's share of doing the work to make it last. Everybody's in a unique situation, but sometimes when you feel like that is your person, even though they got issues, you want to stick through it. And I get that. So you have to figure that out for yourself. But another case of an avoidant ex who looked like he wasn't going to come back, and after about 5 months, it sounds like he came back. Not a surprise to me. I've done this for a long time, and I see avoidant exes do this all the time. But she did a fantastic job of doing the work and holding herself accountable that every time she looked at his social media, she would do the course before and afterwards. It's kind of like you have to earn it, right? I'm going to earn it, then I'm going to treat myself, but then I got to go back to work. And ultimately, I'm sure it helped her grow a lot more than she would have otherwise. Fantastic story. Thank you for sharing. And we love to hear your success stories, guys. So make sure you email us on the website, askcraig.net. Many of you guys, once you get your ex back, you stop kind of watching the videos. You don't want to share it with us anymore. But remember what it's like for you in this moment. And remember that when you get through this, there are going to be people going through this. Send me an email so I can share it with those people and they can see what it was like and that it's not always going to feel as bad as it does. Okay? Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. You can get my creative healing course and my workbooks only on my website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.